Hey everyone, welcome back to Brown Coat Nerd. We got another Should You Buy episode. This time we are looking at the Spanish Star M28DA. Now real quick, just go over the basics of this. This is a single action, double action, double stack, 9mm. It's got a 4¼ inch barrel. We have 15 plus 1 rounds for capacity. And the trigger on this is absolutely amazing. The double action average of 5 pulls is 5 pounds, 7 ounces. The single action is a beautiful and light, crisp 1 pound and 13 ounces. Now, I purchased this particular one from AIM Surplus back in 2019. It was $380. And these sold out quick. This was one of those moments that I got an email notification and I just happened to, I think I was getting ready to buy another gun, but then I saw this and I was just like, whoa, what is this? I've never seen one of these, never heard of one of these. It definitely has some very obvious SIG P210 influences on it. And so I was like, well, I've got to have it. And I know shortly after that, they did offer a like grade X or shooter grade version of these same guns for a little bit less, and once again those sold out pretty quickly. And I haven't really seen any more batches of these come in. I'm not sure if AIM was the only one to get that last batch or not, but these have slowly gained a little bit in popularity. For the most part, these guns still do fly underneath the radar. Now there is the Star M30 and 31, and those are a little bit more popular. And basically those are just further evolutions of this gun here. Now this gun was entered into the U.S. trials when we were replacing the 1911. So it went up against the Beretta M9 and others. And this famously actually failed pretty miserably in those tests. I think there's a statement saying that like they couldn't even get through a magazine with out of failure. And I have no clue what the hell the U.S. Army was doing to this gun, because I have had amazing experience with this gun. The few other videos out there on YouTube are pretty much nothing but praise for this gun. This is an extremely accurate gun. The slide feels beautifully smooth. The trigger is awesome. It's definitely a hefty boy. It is an all steel frame. It's not aluminum, so it definitely has some chunk to it. But I was looking around, and the going price for specifically the M28DA, for what I'm seeing, is anywhere from $440 to $575. And like I said, this one I was pretty happy. It's in pretty good shape. I do have a review on this gun as well, going into a little more in depth on the different models that these were offered as and everything. Like I said, this is just, I absolutely adore this gun. It's like I said, it's extremely accurate. It's just one of those guns that's just, it feels nice to shoot it. It just feels very well and quality built. So real quick, front to back, we have a serrated sight that is fixed. We have some slide serrations to help cut down on your glare. And this is actually a loaded chamber indicator. It will pop up when you have a round in there. And then these are our rear sights. It is windage adjustable. I do believe there is some small variation in these rear sights depending on when your M28 was built. Also, some may or may not have serrations on the front trigger guard. It's kind of interesting to me that this one has that squared off trigger guard, but it's smooth. And then I believe some have serrations on the front and perhaps even the back strap there. So yeah, the sights, nothing crazy, but for the time, it was pretty standard. We do have a slide-mounted safety, which I particularly do not really care for. Just like I don't like a slide safety on the Jerichos, I prefer the frame-mounted one, because you're basically grabbing the safety to chamber it. And I feel like over time, that's just extra wear and tear on the safety mechanism here that you don't really need to be, putting on there. And yeah, this thing is chunky. Not only is it chunky, but check out that freaking extractor right there. Is that not the biggest freaking extractor you've ever seen? More on that later. The other thing that I don't really like about this gun, and this has been safety checked, But as you can see, the safety is now on. This gun is not broken. That is simply how it works. Makes me a little squeamish. But if you put the safety on, you can actually see the firing pin getting pulled into the slide so that the hammer does not make contact with it. So yeah, that's just a little, and it does have a little position there to have the hammer rest off of the firing pin if you choose to carry it double action like that. Once again, like I said, it does have the squared off trigger guard, so we're kind of getting a little more modern, but not all the way to get the serrations on this particular one. The trigger is very wide, and it is smooth. There's no grooves on that either. We do have a very chunky little beaver tail there. Definitely not getting any slide bite with that. That is also probably the most beefiest beaver tail I have ever seen. Like I said, it is a 15 round magazine. One of the downsides of this is if you want to get another magazine, they are not common and they can be a bit pricey. Also on this particular one, I just want to point out the bluing on that slide there. Very reminiscent of the safety and hammer on the Makarovs, where the bluing kind of typically comes out with this plum color. Which I just absolutely love it when it ends up coming out plum instead of just black or gray. But anyways, so should you buy one of these? So first of all, a lot of people do collect Star military surplus pistols. They have a ton of them out there. They're typically based off of a 1911, like the B or the BM. So this one is pretty interesting because while it's kind of a copy of the SIG P210, it's really more inspired by this SIG P210, and then Star just kind of did some extra stuff to it. So it's kind of Star's unique own thing. So this would fit very nicely into a collection for anyone that collects the Star pistols. Also becoming more and more popular are the Setme L models, which we have an LC in the background here. My personal opinion, this thing looks beautiful next to a Setme L. So if you've got one of the Markelmar or Hillemac, or if you just built your own Setme L, and you kind of want a nice, somewhat accurate sidearm, this is a good one. However, I do not believe the Spanish military ever officially adopted the M28. My understanding, this was kind of made more in hopes of gaining the U.S. military contract. And then once they didn't, they still did also make the 30 and the 31 in several different variations. And those were all for the commercial market, but they're amazing guns. So this would fit in a Star collection very well. If you're just wanting to get a collection of very unique and uncommon guns, this is a wonderful selection. It kind of flies underneath the radar, so you're not going to spend, a crazy amount for a gun that's not very common. The downside is the numbers of these in the US just is not very high. So that also means the number of extra and spare parts. Now, obviously, with any military surplus you're collecting, you're not going to be able to get brand new spare parts from the factory. But these just were not nearly as common as guns like Mosin Nagants or Tokarevs or Makarovs. So we don't have that big pool of spare parts. And that leads to the one big Achilles heel of this gun, specifically the M28. Now on the 30 and the 31, they did change this extractor, so I believe they fixed the issue. But I've had people comment on my videos before, and I've just seen online a lot of people having this issue of these extractors breaking over time. And the problem is there's really no spare parts out there to replace it. So you kind of get stuck with a brick. Now the gun would still, function, but you're going to have to, be jiggling out your round. It's probably going to jam up. So that's just no bueno. And that really, really sucks because, guys, I'm telling you, I absolutely adore and love this gun. But the fact that at any given time that I take this out, that extractor could break on me, does freak me out just a little bit. So definitely keep that in mind if you buy one of these. If you buy one of these, I do not recommend that you take it to the range with you every time you go. Unfortunately, this would be a kind of slide it in there within a special occasion shooting. Some people collect guns and don't even shoot them. I don't get that, but that's a very common thing. So if you're one of those people, obviously you're not going to have an issue with that. And also, like I said, when these did come in through AIM at least, we had a selection of very good, which is what this is, and then those shooter grades. So I don't know if I'm just seeing a lot of feedback from people that got the shooter grade guns that have, perhaps they have a substantial more number of rounds through those. So yeah, it's still going to be an issue. It is a weak point of the gun, but maybe, not until you've got a pretty good number of, high round count through it. So that's the biggest main thing to keep in mind. Also, the price of mags kind of sucks on these. But if you're willing to roll the dice on that extractor breaking on you, you will not, I promise you will not be disappointed in the quality of this gun and the accuracy of this gun, of just how this gun feels. The confidence I have when I shoot this is just ridiculous, and it's got a reason for it, because I always do very well when I go out shooting with this gun. So the prices that I've been seeing these go, like I said, is between $440 and $575. Do I think that price is justified? Actually, yeah, I do. I paid only $380 for this one back in 2019, so not that long ago. But like I said, I just really do not ever see these pop up. I'll see the 30 and the 31s pop up quite a bit on Gunbroker, but the 28, specifically the DA, I don't see that pop up. And what does that DA mean? Initially, when I purchased this gun, I actually thought it just meant this gun was double action only. So I was very pleased to find out it's actually single action, and what a beautiful trigger. I have not gotten a definite answer on the DA marks. I've seen some people say that the DA was to signify that this one was going to be slated for not necessarily the American trials, but for the American market. I've seen other sources say that these were probably an Israeli contract, that they were made for the Israeli, either the police or military. And Israel kind of has a very wide selection of firearms they've used in the past, especially in this time era. They're using everything from like high powers to CZ75s. So that's definitely a possibility. I'm not really sure on that to give you guys a for sure answer, unfortunately. But these are not very high in number counts, even compared to the 30s and 31s. So the price is justified. It's not a common gun, and it is a great shooter as long as it has a functioning extractor on it. So I think I just got really lucky at the time I purchased this on that price. Even at the time when I took this out shooting for the first time, I was just like, man, I got a killer deal for the quality of shooting I get out of this for $380. So, $440 to $575, I think that is justified. $575 is probably getting a little bit on the high side. I think $550 for, one in good condition like this, I think that is a justified price. And you'll definitely end up with a unique firearm on your hands. Just keep in mind, I wouldn't shoot it a whole bunch. And if you're one of those people that like to have 10 extra mags for each gun, you're going to be spending a pretty penny collecting the mags for this. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you were able to get a little bit of information out of it. If you did, please hit that like button. And if you're feeling really crazy, go ahead and subscribe. All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Have a good one. Stay safe and stay shiny.